Tonight, a man is dead after a shooting near Jane and Finch.
It's really sad to hear this.
Residents on edge as schools in the area get placed under lockdown following the daylight shooting. We'll have the latest. Plus,
so I've worked with Stephen Del Duca, and I think that he's the best candidate.
Former Ontario Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca getting an important endorsement today in his bid to become the next mayor of Vaughan. And
this is what it's all for, the bright lights, postseason baseball, so this is what you dream of as a kid.
The Blue Jays get set to host their first playoff series since 2016. How the players are feeling as excitement builds in the city with the wildcard series just a day away. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Toronto police are investigating tonight after a man was shot and killed near Jane and Fir Grove in North York. The shooting happening in broad daylight and forcing a number of schools in the area to be placed under lockdown this afternoon. Our Meg Roberts has the latest.
Outside a community housing complex on Fir Grove Crescent, neighbors gather in broad daylight. Police were called to the scene around 1:30 this afternoon. They found a man in his 20s suffering from gunshot wounds. Officers performed first aid, said police, but the victim died at the scene. Right across the complex, you can see Fir Grove Public School behind me, and across the street, Westview Centennial Secondary School. Both of those schools were on lockdown earlier today, but have since reopened. The violence so close to schools had this mother, who lives in the area, on edge.
I'm kind of used to it. It's sad. But now that I have a daughter now, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to stay. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous because it could happen, right? Anytime, anywhere.
Sophia Dunn heard the news on the radio while driving home from work. She says she wanted to stop in and pay her respects. She knows what it feels like to lose a child. She says the violence around the GTA, where her family now lives, needs to stop.
When I heard about this, I seen it. It's terrifying, it's scary, it pains my heart. So we're asking the government for help. It could be my son, it could be my grandson. So we're asking for help.
Police have not released any suspect information. It's still unclear what the motive was. A number of surveillance cameras could be seen around the complex. Police are also asking any witnesses in the area to come forward with information. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
And police have now identified the man who was stabbed to death earlier this week in a downtown park. The victim has been identified as 46-year-old Casa Tesfaye of Toronto. Police say he was in the park with a group of people on Tuesday night. That's when they were approached by a man who stabbed Tesfaye for no apparent reason. Tesfaye was rushed to hospital where he died from his injuries. Police say they are still trying to determine the motive for the stabbing as they search for a suspect. The fallout continues for Hockey Canada, the organization losing more high-profile sponsors today as it shows no signs of changing its leadership. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying it may be time to scrap Hockey Canada entirely, while provincial hockey associations are withholding fees from the governing body. Ali Chiasson takes a look at how the local hockey community is reacting to the latest developments.
I can understand why big brands and that sort of stuff are bailing out on them because it's pretty shameful.
You reap what you sow.
Hockey Canada has been in crisis mode since bombshell revelations about how it handles sexual assault claims came to light. And even their crisis management, or perceived lack thereof, has some of their biggest sponsors denouncing them. TELUS, Scotiabank, Tim Hortons, and Canadian Tire have all pulled sponsorship as Hockey Canada digs in their heels, saying they won't change their management.
Trudeau said it best. If they don't want to step down, change it to, what is it, Hockey Canada? Canada Hockey.
I think starting from scratch might be what they have to do and hold themselves accountable.
While it's uncertain if or how Hockey Canada can rebuild its reputation, their sponsors stood strong. Pulling funding is a big move, but
I want to know where the funding's going to go.
Farah Khan says there's an opportunity to really do right by sexual violence survivors.
If they're saying that sexual violence is a big issue, that they're saying, I'm going to take a stand and not fund this any longer because you need to get your act together. Well, then we also need you to fund that transformative change. So fund organizations that are doing the work, fund sexual assault centers who have been on the front lines, doing the education in communities across this country, and fund them well.
And I think women have been saying for a long, long time that there needs to be a change to hockey culture, and it hasn't necessarily resulted in anything.
Ian Mendez from The Athletic has been covering the Hockey Canada hearings, and he too agrees necessary change is afoot.
I think what's a little bit refreshing right now is you are hearing from men of all ages saying it's time for Hockey Canada to change their culture, to help fix hockey culture. I'm not sure we were hearing men, kind of scream from the mountaintops about that before 2022.
Personally, I think most people care about the players rather than Hockey Canada as an organization. But I think people want organizations like Hockey Canada to be responsible.
And I just hope that they move forward and take the proper steps to actually better themselves and better the situation and take responsibility for what they've done and move forward.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
U of T students gathered at Queen's Park tonight, showing their solidarity with protesters in Iran as they demonstrate against their government.
We want the voice of the people of Iran to stay on news headlines, because if it falls off of the headlines, we're going to see another larger than ever scale of massacre on the streets of Iran, and we cannot afford this much bloodshed.
Ganji says U of T students have demonstrated multiple times now in support of Iranians. This comes as protests continue in Iran following the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. She died in police custody after she was arrested by Iran's so-called morality police for wearing a hijab improperly. Protesters here say they will continue demonstrating as a way to keep attention on what's happening in Iran. The Premier was in Hamilton today, where he had a message for CUPE education workers who voted recently in favor of a strike mandate.
I'm asking to the unions, the teachers' unions, please don't go on strike. Don't force my hand. Just please, continue negotiating, because I'm a strong believer in negotiating.
The government has offered raises of 2% a year for workers making less than $40,000 and 1.25% for all other workers. A CUPE is looking for annual increases of just under 12%. The Premier says the offer on the table to the unions is very good. A CUPE responding to the Premier's comments, saying they have proposals on the table that are reasonable, necessary, and affordable, and that the Premier has the power and the resources to accept those proposals. Dahlia Ashry joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Dahlia, a bit cloudier today, but still a pretty nice day overall.
That's right, Cal. That was a beautiful day earlier today. That's because that low pressure system, that Arctic air, did not kick in throughout the day, but it is coming by tonight, and that's what's giving us those scattered showers and those cooler temperatures. But there is sunshine on the way, but there's still windy days ahead. The daytime high in Toronto today, 23 degrees, a little cooler out in Kingston, 18 degrees, and Barrie, 22. Now, like I said, we are going to be seeing a little bit of rain tonight, and it will pick up as the night progresses. And again, that's because of that Arctic air moving through the province, giving us those cooler temperatures, strong winds, and damp nights. So as you can see here, there is that precipitation activity making its way through Friday. Scattered showers throughout the day, mainly cloudy, and then it will start to clear up throughout the evening, and then it will pick back up on Saturday. Some scattered showers then as well. And then tonight, temperatures will drop to 7 degrees. Rainy conditions, a little cooler out in Mississauga, 6 degrees. And then look at that for the 3-day forecast going into the long weekend. It's 11 degrees tomorrow, Saturday 14, 15 on Sunday. So a major drop from today's 20 degrees. Now we're doing a dip of almost 10 degrees. So make sure you have your sweaters ready for the long weekend.
Dahlia. From Ontario Liberal leader to now mayoral candidate, Stephen Del Duca is on a bid to become the next mayor of Vaughan. And today he got some major support, an endorsement from the man he's hoping to succeed. Chris Glover has more.
Vaughan's outgoing mayor, Maurizio Bevilacqua, officially supporting mayoral candidate Stephen Del Duca.
I've worked with Stephen Del Duca, and I think that he's the best candidate.
Just means the world to me. He's built an incredible legacy.
Vaughan's mayor for 12 years and Liberal MP for 22 years before that. Bevilacqua says as the former provincial Liberal transport minister, Del Duca helped Vaughan build. You continually have won here in Vaughan by huge margins. Stephen has lost here by big margins. Why risk your good name on his candidacy here?
Precisely the point. You're making the point. I think that there is a mayor that has been a member of parliament and a mayor has been part of the transformational change. It's highly irresponsible not to state your opinion.
As former Liberal leader, Del Duca lost both the province and the Vaughan riding in June. You personally losing fairly difficultly here in Vaughan to be the MPP. What makes you think that people here want you to be their mayor?
The conversations I'm having with people, they do recognize that we've had a phenomenal 12 years under Mayor Bevilacqua. They want that stability, that experience, that strength and leadership to continue.
Even with the endorsement, Mohan Sanal says his vote is technically still open, but
so far I know only him. I don't know the other people.
Still it firmed up Christina Nasso's vote.
Bevilacqua was a great mayor for so many years, and if he's endorsing him, that means that he's doing something right.
I'm baffled, to be quite honest with you.
Longtime Vaughan councillor Sandra Young Rocco is running to be mayor. She's frustrated Bevilacqua endorsed someone with zero municipal experience.
Some people have, reach out to me. They go, "What is it? Do they have a backroom deal? Is this the old boys club? Is it because they don't want to have a female leader at the helm?"
Business owner Paul D'Onofrio is another one of Vaughan's 7 mayoral candidates.
This endorsement is not good at all. All it is a pass of the torch to finish off where Mauricio has not completed.
It'll help, and I wholeheartedly expect him to be elected as mayor.
Political scientist Ajay Sharma says this happens in many municipalities. In 2014, longtime Mississauga Mayor Hazel McCallion endorsed Bonnie Crombie, who went on to win. So it happens, but is it right?
Is it correct? I mean, it's not within the spirit of the system where it should be a non-partisan, not apolitical system.
One of Del Duca's competitors has criticized this endorsement, saying that it reeks of an old boys club of fear and intimidation. What do you say to that?
I think the individual who may have said that should respect the voters a lot more.
Bevilacqua says his responsibility is to speak his mind. Now the voters can decide if they agree. Chris Glover, CBC News, Vaughan.
Toronto will soon be governed under a new strong mayor system. The new provincial legislation strengthens the mayor's powers, but also will be a shakeup for city council and could even present new challenges for residents. To make more sense of it all, our very own Dwight Drummond will host a discussion about the new political landscape ahead of the upcoming municipal election. This event is organized by the University of Toronto's School of Cities in partnership with CBC Toronto. Dwight will moderate as 5 former Toronto mayors debate how the new system will affect the city and its residents. It takes place on Tuesday, October 11th at 7:30 p.m. at U of T's Innistown Theatre. And we invite you to sign up for this free in-person and virtual debate. Just visit cbc.ca/Toronto and click on our community section to reserve your seat. All right, now to the Blue Jays. The city is already buzzing with excitement. The Toronto Blue Jays are about to host their first playoff series since 2016. Their 3-game wildcard series against the Seattle Mariners gets underway tomorrow at the Rogers Centre. Greg Ross takes us behind the scenes as both teams get prepared for the showdown.
This is what it's all about right here, right?
Blue Jays pitcher Alek Manoah is basking in the postseason spotlight. The All-Star will start Game 1 for the Jays tomorrow and says he's ready for the pressure that comes with being in the playoffs.
This is what you dream of as a kid, and for me, I'm just gonna go out there and have some fun and play some baseball. I love playing with these guys, and we got a great team, and we enjoy playing with each other, and that's all we got to do, just go play some baseball.
But nobody on the Jays roster has experienced the excitement of postseason baseball at the Rogers Centre. Although there is one player who has a good idea of what it's all about.
When the Jays are in the playoffs, it's kind of like the talk of the town.
Jays closer and Markham native Jordan Romano remembers the Jays playoff run in 2015. Romano couldn't get tickets to see the Jays in the playoffs back then, but he remembers the electricity in the city.
The city was buzzing. Me and all my buddies, we were so excited, wanted to catch the games. We'd come downtown, get food or whatever. I think I came to a series versus Texas before the postseason, and even though it wasn't a postseason game, it was crazy. It was sold out. I mean, the place was shaking.
Romano says he has tried to explain the playoffs in Toronto to his teammates.
Yeah, I've talked to them a lot about it. I was like, guys, you won't believe what it's like when we're playing good. So. And I'm happy they can experience it too. They probably don't know what it's like.
Game 1 gets underway just after 4 o'clock tomorrow here at the Rogers Centre. They'll play Game 2 of this wildcard series on Saturday, and if necessary, they'll have a Game 3 also here at the Rogers Centre on Sunday. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Fees for youth sports are often hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Those costs can be a huge barrier for kids in low-income communities to participate. From CBC Toronto's Jane and Finch Community Bureau, Dale Manukduk looks at how local organizations are eliminating that burden for families.
And you're breaking your ankle in it. That's one way to cover up a hole on the pitch. But injury hazards or burnt-out floodlights won't stop Asante Soccer Academy from taking the field by any means necessary.
If it takes 3 hours for us to get the field ready, it'll take 3 hours for us to get the field ready. But at the end of the day, the kids are playing, and that's more important to us than anything.
So important that in addition to corporate partnerships, the club says it sometimes goes out of pocket to support young boys and girls.
If you want to play, well, it's our job to find a way to make sure you can play. Right, without having to worry, mom or dad having to worry about how am I going to be able to pay for my son or my daughter's soccer fees.
Asante Soccer Academy is one of many Jane and Finch-led organizations that are subsidizing the high cost of organized sports so parents can get their kids involved.
1, 2, 3, fire!
Elite basketball training is another, bringing in high-level coaches to improve young players' skills. Instruction that would normally cost up to $300 per week.
We're making it happen. This is for Jane and Finch.
Kids age 11 to 18 don't just learn the game of basketball, they're taught valuable life skills. It's something Coach Chris Blackwood received as a young man from elders in the community.
Stuff like that made me say that let me do the same for these young people. Like at the end of the day, basketball is the engagement tool, but I'm trying to raise some young men out here.
Blackwood makes sure it's not just about the crossovers and jumpers, not just drives to the basket, but pathways to careers in the trades. Take Joshua Kia, for example, who dreamed of playing in the NBA. He still plays with elite basketball, but he's also well on his way to becoming a plumber.
Beforehand, I used to think about it's a good way to get money. But when you get into it, it's like, all right, this is actually enjoyable. This is something I could do for the rest of my life.
And speaking of, for life.
I'm not just here with them for an hour and a half or 2 hours every Wednesday and Friday here at Ballers Union. I'm here with these guys for life.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
After a year of staggering inflation in food costs, one GTA food bank is helping families in need celebrate Thanksgiving this year.
So right behind me, you'll see there's over 100 people will come through our doors today looking for an order of groceries. These are people who, in some capacity, are facing food insecurity. They'll have an opportunity to choose what they want. It's an opportunity to show some dignity to them in this season.
Staff and volunteers were handing out fruits, vegetables, meats, and canned goods ahead of Thanksgiving on Monday. This comes as Scott Mission's Food Bank says it has seen a 20% increase in the number of families seeking help this year. That is over 30% from pre-pandemic levels. And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. Partly cloudy tonight with a few showers possible overnight. Currently, it is 16 degrees in the city. All right, let's go back to Dahlia now. And Dahlia, some wet weather on the way, and those temperatures definitely getting cooler as we head into the weekend.
Kelda, you probably didn't need your umbrella earlier today, but you will need it as you commute to work tomorrow morning, and probably a sweater to keep you warm as well, because we're going to see a drastic drop in those daytime highs, but the sun will still be around over the weekend. The daytime high earlier today was 23 degrees, a little cooler out in Kingston, 18 degrees, and similar temperatures to Toronto out in London, 23 degrees. Now, like we were saying earlier, we will be seeing some rain overnight tonight, and that will be carrying through tomorrow morning. And again, that's because of that Arctic air that's going across the province, making its way into into Toronto, and we'll be seeing that over the weekend as well, giving us those cooler temperatures, strong winds, and rain. Over the past few days, we've been experiencing the high pressure system, and that's what's been giving us those clear skies and the lovely sunny skies that we've been seeing as well. Now, speaking of winds, look at that. Thursday, tonight, temperatures will drop, but also it's going to be windy. Winds will be gusting up to 31 kilometers an hour, and it will drastically increase by Friday morning up to 43 kilometers an hour. So expect it to be quite a windy one on Friday, as well as we head into Saturday. Winds will be gusting up to 27 kilometers an hour. We do get a little bit of a break Saturday during the day, but it will pick up in the evening and as we head into Sunday as well. Now, we did say that it will cool down tonight. Temperatures will drop to 7 degrees. And take a look at this. Mainly sunny skies as we head into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so for the long weekend. But don't let that sunshine fool you, because we are seeing that drastic drop in those daytime highs from today. Earlier was 23 degrees down to 11 and in the teens. And then we see the pattern here, which is single digits over the evening, and quite a windy one as well this weekend. So make sure you're staying warm out there this long weekend.
Finally, tonight, a new exhibition at the ROM traces Indigenous knowledge back to the beginning of time, while also challenging the role of museums in the 21st century.
This exhibition begins with kind of the dawn of time, the dawn of life, and really is about exploring the knowledge that's embedded in Cree oral traditions, that there's science in our stories, there's knowledge in our stories. And then there was this interruption of that knowledge through the colonial chapter.
The project is called Being Legendary. It features 35 paintings, sculptures, and etchings by the acclaimed Cree artist you just heard, Kent Monkman. Years in the making, Monkman's body of work was created in response to the ROM's permanent collection. Through his paintings, he hopes to challenge the Western perspective of history, something the ROM says is crucial given recent events.
It's so important, particularly at a moment when we are hearing about the traumas and the really horrific news about the unmarked children's graves at residential schools. So not only is it a beautiful and meaningful show, but it's an extremely timely show for us all to be looking at these issues and thinking about the continuity of Indigenous knowledge and life on this land.
The work conveys how Indigenous presence on Turtle Island goes back many thousands of years, longer than settler-held theories of Indigenous inhabitation. And it's all presented through Monkman's alter ego, the gender-fluid, shape-shifting, legendary being, Mischief Eagle Testicle. The exhibition opens to the public this Saturday and will run until March 19th of next year. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local news tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night.